Welcome to the Rum Revival. My name's Arminder, and today I'm highlighting a number of newly released and newly announced rums from the last month or so. Now, these aren't necessarily available everywhere in the US right now. Some of these rums have only just come out or have just been announced, so it might take a few weeks before they're available throughout the country. But definitely keep an eye out for them. First up, we have the newest release in Foursquare's Exceptional Cask Selection series. This is their Equipoise. Now, this is a molasses-based pot calm blend of rums aged 14 years in ex-bourbon and ex-Calvados casks, and is bottled at 61% ABV, and the price should be around $130. Now, there are a couple of things of note here with this release. This is the 25th release in the Exceptional Cask Selection series. It's the first time a rum in that series has been aged in ex-Calvados casks. The word Equipoise means a balance of forces, and apparently it's also the name of a horse steroid, so yeah, that's fun. Next up is the newest seasonal rum orangé release from French brand Ahrumatic. This is their Ybissap, I think is how it's pronounced. Now, if you're not familiar, rum orangés are rums that are macerated with fruits and cane syrup. Some brands will remove the fruit before bottling, but the folks at Ahrumatic keep the fruit in the bottle, leaving you with a healthy snack. Now, in the case of the Ybissap, we have a mix of hibiscus, passion fruit, and the cutest, most adorable little bananas that you've ever seen. Now, that's all great and all, but to me, the most exciting part is that the rum in this release is actually Clairin Vaval. If you're not familiar, Vaval is a wild fermented, unaged cane juice spirit from Haiti and has these lovely briny and mineral notes, and I'm such a big fan of it, and I'm super intrigued to see how it holds up with that fruit. Next up, we have 4 brand new releases from Alambique Serrano, a brand that debuted last year that focuses on aged cane juice rums made by the Cressel family in Oaxaca. So I was a big fan of their first 4 releases last year. In fact, blend number 2 was one of my favorite rums of last year. And what I really like about what they're doing is that they have so many different variables to play with in their production process, and it allows them to create rums of varying different flavor profiles. There's stainless steel tanks versus pine vats for fermentation. There's different lengths of wild fermentation. There's the column still that they have. There's a pot still that they have. And the fact that they age their rums in so many different cask types and in different elevations and weather conditions. Now, all of that leads to, in my opinion, some really amazing blends and single cask releases. So what do we have in this year's lineup? Well, first off, there's blend number 3, known as Mata Diablo. This is a blend of pot and calm still rums aged between 6 and 21 months in ex-mezcal, new French oak, and ex-bourbon casks, and it's bottled at 63.4% ABV. So I've had the sample of this, and I've got to say, it got so much cardamom on the palate, and little known fact, as a good little Indian boy, cardamom basically runs through my veins, so I absolutely loved this one. Then there's blend number 4, known as Tres Maderas. This is a blend of pot and calm still rums aged between 18 and 36 months in new acacia, ex-dry sherry, and ex-cognac casks, and it's bottled at 59.1% ABV. Next up is single cask number 14. This is a single cask release of a calm still rum aged 24 months in an ex-bourbon cask in humid climate and bottled at 55.8% ABV. And the last release is single cask number 20. Now, this is a pot distilled rum aged 21 months in a new French oak cask in a dry climate, and it's bottled at 64.4% ABV. Now, all 4 bottles are priced around $75 to $80. Now, if you've been paying any attention, then you'd know that last year's Alambique Serrano releases included 2 single cask releases, cask number 1 and cask number 2, which begs the question, what the hell happened to single casks numbers 3 to 13 and 15 through 19? Inquiring minds want to know. But seriously, I kind of do need to know when, where, and how each of those casks were released, otherwise it's really gonna mess with my orderly understanding of all things rum. You know what I mean? Okay, so in actuality, those other single casks have been released as barrel picks for specific bars, restaurants, and clubs throughout the country. For example, cask number 3 was for the Aficionados group, and cask number 13 is an exclusive bottling for K&L Wines here in California. Now, does that mean that I'm gonna have to hunt down each one of those exclusive bottlings? Yeah, you bet your ass it does. But anyways, unlike those other single casks, casks number 14 and 20 are being made available for all retailers throughout the country. Next up, we have 3 new releases from independent bottler Down Island Spirits. So I first saw that these rums were on the market like the very day that I put out my last new releases video, which, of course wasn't aggravating at all. First up is the Down Island Spirits Ghana release. This is a rum from Ghana. It's a cane juice rum that was pot distilled in 2020 in the town of Mim in western Ghana. Now, after distillation, the unaged distillate was shipped shipped to the Netherlands where it was aged for over 3 years in an ex-bourbon cask and then bottled in Florida at 62% ABV. Then we have the Down Island Spirits Paraguay release. This is a molasses-based calm distilled rum. It was distilled in 2016 at Otissa Distillery, and after distillation, it was aged 6 years on site in an ex-bourbon cask, and then it was aged another 2 years in the Netherlands for a total of 8 years, and then it was bottled at 62% ABV in Florida. Both of these rums are priced at $75. I actually covered both of these two rums a couple of weeks back in a first impressions video where I tried them for the very first time in front of you, and I have a link below where you can actually check out that video if you haven't seen it already. And the last Down Island Spirits release is the Jamaica HD 2014. Now the HD stands for Hampden Estate, where the rum was made. Now this is their Diamond H mark, which is their 4th highest ester count of their rums, which is around 900 to 1,000 grams per hectoliter of pure alcohol. Now if you're familiar with Rum Fire, this is their next mark up from there in terms of ester count. The rum was distilled in 2014 and then aged 4 years at Hampden in an ex-bourbon cask. It was then shipped to the UK where it was aged another 6 years for a total of 10 years of aging, and it's bottled at 68.5% ABV and priced at $175. You can buy the rum on the Down Island Spirits website, and it's actually a single cask pick by the Florida Rum Society. And man, those kids get their hands on all the good stuff, right? Like when it comes to barrel picks. Also, how does one get in on that private barrel pick game? Totally asking for a friend. So moving on, we have 2 new releases from Scottish independent bottler Cadenhead. Now, both releases are part of their Green Label series, which consists of rums at 46% ABV that are single country blends. These blends can include rums from multiple different distilleries from those countries and or multiple rums from the same distillery. Either way, they don't really tell you a whole lot about the rum, just what country it's from, how long it's been aged, and that the ABV is 46% ABV. That's it. First is the Trinidad 11 year, which is from Trinidad. It's aged 11 years and bottled at 46% ABV. Then there's the Jamaican 17 year, which is from Jamaica, aged 17 years and bottled at 46% ABV. Now the Trinidad is priced at $100 and the Jamaican at $130. Moving on. Next up, we have tons of new releases from Italian independent bottler Samaroli. Since there's a lot of them to cover, and since frankly they don't really share a whole lot of information about each individual rum, I'm gonna breeze through most of them fairly quickly. First up is the SQPR 4th edition. This is a blend of a 2009 molasses-based Trinidad rum and an unaged cane juice Mauritius rum, and it's bottled at 48% ABV and priced around $100. Then there's the 4th edition of the Pacific Oblivion. This is a blend of 2 Fijian rums that were distilled in 2009. They're proofed down to 45% ABV and priced at $140. Then there is the Samba blended rum. This is a blend of 2 rums, a molasses and cane juice Brazilian rum aged for 6 years in an Ambarana and ex-bourbon cask. And then the second rum is a Salvadorian rum. Now those rums were blended at 50% ABV and priced at $150. Then there's the Yehmon Retro, which is a blend of a calm distilled Guatemala rum aged 6 years in an ex-bourbon cask, and then a calm still rum from Belize aged 8 years. It's bottled at 49% ABV and priced at $150. Then there's the Yehmon Vintage, which is a blend of an unaged Martinique cane juice rum from an undisclosed distillery, and then 2 rums from Mauritius, one aged in ex-whiskey and ex-sherry, and the other aged 2 years in an ex-bourbon cask. It's bottled at 45% ABV and priced at $150. Then there's the Yehmon Classic, which is a blend of a 7-year-old Trinidad rum and then 2 rums from Mauritius, aged in ex-whiskey and ex-red wine casks. It's bottled at 45% ABV and also priced at $150. Then there's the Jamaican Rhapsody. It's a blend of a number of Jamaican rums bottled at 45% ABV and priced at $170. No age statement and no distilleries listed. Then there's the Trinidad Carnival. This is a blend of rums from Trinidad bottled at 50% ABV and priced at around $200. So, okay, this next rum, I've been trying very hard to say the name of this country for a very long time. For some reason, for the life of me, I cannot say it. I've done like 20 takes of this damn line, and I just cannot say the name of the country. It's Nicaragua, which I think sort of sounds fine now, but when you're saying it in the full sentence, I just mess up every single time. Frustrating. This is the single origin, single cask Nicaragua. It just sounds funny when you're saying it. Next up is the single origin, single cask Nicaragua. This is a single cask release of a calm distilled rum from Nicaragua, tropically aged 10 years in an ex-bourbon cask and bottled at 50% ABV and priced at $260. Then there's a single origin, single cask Australia 2007 release. This is a single cask Australian rum release that was distilled in 2007 and bottled at 49% ABV. Now there doesn't seem to be any information on which distillery made it, what kind of still it was made on, or what kind of cask it was aged in. All that mystery can be yours for $280. Next up is Single Origin, Single Cask Guyana. This is a single cask release of a 20-year-old Demerara distiller's rum aged some amount of time in Guyana and then the rest in Scotland. Now, from what I can find, the mark might be the SXG mark, which would mean it's made on the Versailles pot still, and it's bottled at 46% ABV and priced at $320. And the last Samaroli release is a single cask of a rare Caroni rum distilled in 1997. Now, if you're not familiar with Caroni, it's a now defunct distillery from Trinidad that rum nerds covet given its scarcity and the fact that it tastes like burnt tires. And this bottle can be yours for the low price of $1,500. And lastly, I'm going to end on something that has only just been announced and really won't be available for a couple of months, but I think it's fun to get excited about its eventual release. The folks at Hampden Estate are releasing a new version of their 8 Marks collection set. Now, besides the striking red color, the major difference here is that the original set, all 8 of those marks were unaged, but in this set, they're going to be aged 1 year in ex-bourbon casks. Now, that's pretty cool if you ask me, and seems like it's the natural progression of the idea. Now, personally for me, what I'm excited about is taking both of the sets and comparing each mark, right? Trying the unaged version and seeing how that 1 year of aging changes the flavor and aroma of the rum. Now, I'll have more details on the set as we get closer to the release. Well, there you go. Those are the newly released or announced rums from the last month or so. Now, do any of these new releases stand out to you? Are you planning on getting any of them? I'd love to know, so let me know in the comments below. Now, if you're interested in checking out some exclusive behind-the-scenes content and first impressions videos where I try a rum for the very first time and give you my gut reaction to it, then consider checking out and supporting me on Patreon. I have tons of content there that I think you'll really like. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you next time. Cheers.